I paid off $40,000 of debt in 18 months, and if you feel like you are struggling with your debt payments, I'm going to put you on some hacks that is going to help you pay that debt off faster and save a ton of money in interest. Part of the reason why debt is so difficult to pay off is because the interest rates can be really high. Compound interest can either make you rich or keep you broke. But did you realize that sometimes we can actually reduce that interest rate that you are paying on your debt down to 0%? So more of your money is going towards the principal. Again, this is going to help you pay it off faster and save a ton of money in the process. So if you have credit card debt, you can do this by opening up something called a balance transfer card. It's essentially a credit card that gives you a 0% interest rate for a specific period of time. Usually that's around 6 to 18 months, but I'm actually seeing ones on here right now for as high as 21 months. This is a website I like to use to look up balance transfer cards. These cards allow you to transfer over the money you owe on your high interest credit card over to the 0% interest card. Now, these cards usually come with a fee of about 2 to 3% of the balance that you are transferring over. I'll show you an example of this in a minute, but essentially what you're going to want to do is compare the fee that you would pay for the card versus the interest that you would save. This is an example of a sheet that I would walk through with my students, but essentially we have the balance transfer card there, okay, and we'll say the total debt to transfer is $7,000. If you were approved for $10,000, that means you can transfer the total amount over. The balance transfer fee on this card is 3%, which means the amount that you would have to pay to transfer that over would be $210. They will add this balance transfer fee to the total debt that you owe, so $7,000 plus the fee of $210. If this card has a promotional period of 15 months, that means you have 15 months to repay that before it goes back up to the high interest rate of 24.99%. The key here is to make sure that you can repay that debt within the promotional period so that you don't jump back up to that high interest rate. If you were able to put $500 a month towards that card, that means you'd pay it off in just a little over 14 months. Using a credit card interest calculator, we can see that we would save $1,361 by setting this up. We're going to subtract the balance transfer fee from that to get our total savings of $1,151. So essentially you've saved $1,100 for like 15 minutes of work. It sounds amazing, but there is a problem with this tool. I see this a lot with people who use the tool but don't work to increase their financial literacy in other areas as well, or change the underlying reasons why they were in debt in the first place. Because psychologically, once your debt is at 0%, you may not feel as inclined to keep up with the payment plan because you're not like feeling the pain. Also, once the debt is off your original credit card, if you haven't addressed the underlying reasons as to why you were in debt in the first place, like impulse shopping, not planning for emergencies, problems with your cash flow, then something I see again and again is this turning into like a vicious cycle where you end up going and racking up that original credit card again, because remember that balance is at 0 because we've transferred it all over to the balance transfer card. Now you have twice as much debt available to you, and people end up racking that original credit card back up again and having twice as much debt. Some of the students coming into our programs have actually been struggling with that cycle for a long time, right? They'll start to pay off their debt, they're doing good, but because they didn't address those underlying reasons as to why they were in debt in the first place, they end up racking it back up again. Then they hear about balance transfer cards, they transfer it all over, but again, have not addressed the underlying reason, and the debt just keeps growing and growing and growing. If this is you, know that a simple budget, that it's not going to fix that. Now, if the debt that you're struggling with is not on a credit card, maybe it's like a bunch of different debts and you feel overwhelmed at trying to manage them all, something you can consider is called a debt consolidation loan. However, if you're extending the repayment period, okay, how long it takes for you to pay that off, you could actually end up paying a lot more in interest. There could be a lot of fees or penalties associated with it, which could cut into any potential savings. And again, it can provide this false sense of relief where you don't address the root cause, but it ends up putting you in an even worse position in the long run. So if you are ready to stop surviving and start thriving with your money in 2024, we have a bunch of free trainings available to help you get started. You can find them on our website under freebies, or you can apply to work with me in your finances to help you finally overcome all of the places you've been stuck. So again, you can start thriving. We don't know money stress in 2024.